Right. Where?
Down on the beach, you'll probably be able to hear better that way.
We have to stay together because we're coming back.
All right, folks, let's come down, sorry. If we could all come down to the
Folks,
beach,
you're most welcome to come join us on the sand if you like. You might be able to hear better.
we'll look better for the pictures, for the press, if we're all on the beach together with the behind us.
People who are here, right
Now! What do we want? Peace! What do we want? Now! Peace! What do we get? Peace! What do we get by now? Peace! Now!
Will all the speakers please come on up here to the tent? Make sure you're all gathered here, please. Folks, thank you so much for coming down here. Before we commence with this part of today's event, the most important thing is to give thanks to some folks, particularly the Veterans for Peace, for sponsoring today's event. Mary Johnston, our Vice President. Ron Dexter provided the sound system. Tom Urban, Elizabeth Cologne, Misha, Brigitte, Seligman, and all the others. Thank you so much. But most importantly, we'd like to thank you. As always, it's such an honor to be in your presence. We may not be many in number, but we certainly are strong in voice and conviction. And now, for today, I'd like to an incredible videographer, activist, musician, and our mistress of ceremonies for the rest of today's events, Kenny Little.
Hi, thank you all for being here. Well, why are we here 8 years later? Here we are at Arlington West, where each cross represents a life. This idea, which was proposed by Stephen Sherrill about 7 years and 3 months ago by a town hall activist meeting, has been taken up by the Veterans for Peace and has become a national memorial for all of our soldiers who have died in Iraq and Afghanistan. More importantly, we're here because we care. And I'm really appreciating seeing all your faces. And I would like to introduce our first speaker, former Mayor Marty Bloom. She doesn't need a whole lot of introduction. Here she is. The people of Santa Barbara who keep the war in mind and keep speaking out against it. It was 8.5 years ago, when I went to Washington, D.C. to get some money for Homeland Security. They kept giving us things we had to do, and we didn't have any money for it, so about 50, 60 mayors went to Washington, D.C. to get some money, and all they were talking about was bombing Iraq. And I couldn't figure out why in the world they wanted to bomb Iraq. And guess what? I still don't understand why they wanted to bomb Iraq, and I think it's terrible. 8 years, and here are the statistics, 4,750 people later, of our troops, U.S. troops, have been killed. And that's not just 4,754 people. These are sons and daughters, neighbors, sisters, brothers, cousins. These are people that you know who could have had the rest of their lives to look forward to, and instead they've been killed. And I think that it's time for us to not only stop the war in Iraq, we're slowing down there, but really pull a lot of people out from Afghanistan. And let's take, we're borrowing money, those are unfunded wars. And so we're borrowing money to pay for them. Instead, let's get more money into education and into housing and all the things we talked about from Bailey Bear Plaza down here. I am very pleased that so many of you came out here, and very sorry that we have to meet like this all the time. So let's get to change things. And here's our next mayor, who is absolutely wonderful, and I think we're on the same page with this. Colleen Schneider.
Thank you. The first thing is, I think we owe a lot of gratitude and a big thanks issue to make sure Arlington West is able to stay here as long as they need to stay here, and hopefully we won't need Arlington West anymore. But thank you, Marty. You really set the tone, and it's an honor to be in your footsteps on this issue. You know, I've been thinking a lot the last week about what's going on in Japan and the concern we have there. And one of the heartwarming pieces of it was actually worship from here going over there to help in terms of the recovery and the assistance. I mean, we had the USS Ronald Reagan, which had a whole different story coming here, who is now over there. And to have that kind of connection in the world, that's the kind of thing I think as world leaders we need to do and promote in terms of world peace, in terms of helping people in need. And to think, you know, it's time for people of Iraq to take care of the people of Iraq. And it's time for us to be able to leave so they can then recover and be able to take care of themselves. And the thought of having to still be at war is so disheartening and so sad, not only to think about the statistics you have here, but what's still to come. The other statistic Marty didn't mention right here is 32,009 U.S. troops have been wounded. And what happens when they come back home? And what kind of health care providers are going to be there for them? What kind of mental health care is going to be for them? And they, you know, I mean, we keep talking about a deficit in the